If you're writing a nonfiction book, your readers will love it if you include stories along the way. Stories make any subject more compelling, and you want your readers to keep turning those pages. Listen to these 10 questions that can help you create compelling stories just out of ordinary examples from your own life or the lives of others. My name is Nika Maples, and I help Christian coaches, speakers, and influencers write books so that they can take their business to the next level while advancing the kingdom and transforming people in Jesus' name. If that's you, go ahead and subscribe to this channel right now so you never miss one of my videos. Now, here are the 10 questions that will help you tell better mini stories. I call them mini stories because they aren't a big, long, drawn-out anecdote that takes pages and pages to tell. No, it could be as simple as one paragraph, but your story needs to be able to answer these questions in order to be very attractive to your reader. Question number 1. Is it clear to the reader when they are at the beginning, middle, and end of the story? If your story doesn't have a very different beginning, middle, and end, such as what's going to happen, what is happening, and what just happened, then you aren't really telling a story. Question number 2. If you stop telling the story right now, would your reader ask, wait, what happens next? You have to create curiosity for your reader in your stories, no matter how small they are. Question number 3. Does the reader have enough details to be able to describe it as if they were there? Then you can beef up your story with the 5 senses. What would they smell if they were there? What would they taste? What would they see? What would they hear? And what would they feel? Question number 4. Does the story make the reader laugh, cry, or get angry? A story becomes so much more attractive if it elicits feelings for the reader. Question number 5. By the end of the story, does the reader know what it's like to be you or to be the person the story is about? Readers always like to identify with the person the story is about. Question number 6. Is the story interesting or unusual? Just your everyday story about going to a gas station or going to a library is not necessarily interesting or unusual unless something happens that changes the ordinary to the extraordinary. And by extraordinary, I don't mean something outlandish. I just mean extraordinary, something out of the ordinary. So your story has to have something that is interesting or unusual to the reader. Question number 7. Would the reader be able to remember and retell it? If the reader can't remember it and retell it, they're really not even going to promote your book well. You want to have many stories that your reader loves to retell because that is going to point new readers to your book by word of mouth. Question number 8. Would a child be able to say, now that's a good story? I know that not all stories are appropriate for children, but ask yourself, if a child heard this story, would they say, that's a good story? Children can't disguise their true feelings about a story. So if you think about how a child would react to a story, it helps you know how your reader will react to the story. Because we're all just children inside. Question number 9. Can the story stand alone? Meaning, if you were at a dinner with friends, would you be able to just tell the story without giving all the lessons and connections that are in the chapter of your book? If the story can stand alone, then it's great to use as part of your lesson. But you don't want it to be so connected that it can't be removed and shared as a standalone story. Question number 10. Will the story be timeless? Sometimes people want to tell stories that are very connected to a certain time. While that's important sometimes, for instance, if you're telling a story about a time before there were cell phones, you would still need to be able to relate it to people who have never lived in a time before there were cell phones. So make sure the story itself is timeless, even if you remove the specific details that set it in a moment in time. You may have noticed that all of these questions are closed-ended questions, meaning that they can be answered with a yes or a no. I know you're not supposed to do that when you're really looking into evaluate something, but I did that on purpose in this case so that you could decide yes or no quickly and then respond to it by fixing it without justifying your story. If I'd asked open-ended questions, you would have been able to make excuses for why the story had to be a certain way. If you force yourself to answer yes or no, does the reader experience the story this way, then you'll challenge yourself to make the story as interesting as possible. If this video was helpful in providing a framework so that you can write more interesting stories, please like it right now and feel free to comment so that I know what videos are helpful for you and what kind of videos you'd like me to create in the future.